Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න. Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න.
අර පිරිමැස්ම ගැන හිතන ඔබට Vim Liquid වෙතින් රුපියල් 100ක ඉතිරියක්.
හරිම සුළුයි.
Tonight on First at 9, this Wednesday the 4th of January 2023. Confidence. Central Bank says the envisaged IMF facility is expected to materialize in early 2023. Road to election. The Election Commission to accept nominations for local government elections starting from January 18th. Depreciation. The Sri Lankan rupee depreciates against the US dollar by over 40% last year, says the central bank. Reduction. Litrogas decides to reduce the price of domestic LP gas from tomorrow.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9 with Andrew Bernard. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening and welcome to AdaDerana 24's English News. Now, the Election Commission announced dates for the acceptance of nominations for the local government election today. Starting from the 18th of January, the elections body will accept nominations of 9,347 candidates until noon of the 21st of January. According to the Election Commissioner General Saman Sri Ratnayaka, the local government election can be held within 5 to 7 weeks after the conclusion of the acceptance of nominations.
Earlier today, the Election Commission announced via an extraordinary gazette that nominations for local government elections will be accepted from January 18th until 21st of January. Accordingly, nominations will be called from 340 local government bodies to elect members for 29 municipal councils, 36 urban councils and 275 Pradeshi Sabha, including for the positions of mayor, deputy mayor, chairman and deputy chairman. However, nominations are not called from the LPTA Pradeshi Sabha as its 5-year tenure is yet to expire. It is expected that 9,347 candidates are expected to submit their nominations. According to a press release published by the Commission, accepting election deposits of candidates began today and continue until 12 noon on the 20th of January, except on Poya Day, which falls on the 6th of January, and the Sundays on 8th and 15th January. It also said that applications for postal voting at the 2023 local government elections will be accepted from eligible voters from 5th of January until 23rd of January midnight.
The election will be held within 5 to 7 weeks following the conclusion of nomination acceptance.
මේ වෙද්දී රට තුළ කඩදාසි හිඟයක් තියෙනවා කියලා ප්‍රකාශ කරන මේක බැලට් පේපර්ස් මුද්‍රණයට ගැටලුවක් වෙයිද කොහොමද?
All activities pertaining to printing is handled by the Department of Government Printing. The head of the department did not mention any issue, and those activities are taking place smoothly. This election was planned to be held last year, and we made preparations since then.
රට තුළ තියෙන මූල අර්බුදය කොයි ආකාරයෙන්ද කළමනාකරණය කරගන්න ඔබතුමාලා?
The duty of the Election Commission is to fulfill the constitutional responsibility. It is a duty of the government in power to provide financial assistance. We are confident that the Treasury and related institutions will take necessary steps.
Now, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka says the envisaged IMF facility is expected to materialize in early 2023 due to the significant progress made in relation to the interaction with the Sri Lankan creditors. Issuing a statement on monetary and financial sector policies for the year 2023 and beyond, the monetary regulator said they will remain committed to achieving its mandate through appropriate policy measures, while closely observing developments to take corrective policy and regulatory measures.
Issuing a statement on monetary and financial sector policies for 2023 and beyond, the central bank said that measures are underway to secure financing assurances from official creditors for the debt restructuring process aimed at ensuring medium-term public debt sustainability. The monetary regulator said with significant progress being made at present in relation to the interaction with the Sri Lankan creditors, The envisaged IMF facility is expected to materialize in early 2023. With regard to inflation, the central bank said the headline inflation is expected to move along in disinflationary path with a deceleration in the first half of 2023 and reaching the desired levels of inflation towards the end of 2023. The CBSL added that if any upside risks to inflation emerge in the period ahead, that would be addressed through appropriate policy measures. The statement also said that the Sri Lankan economy, which is projected to register a real contraction of around 8% in 2022, is expected to record a gradual recovery from the second half of this year and sustain the growth momentum beyond. In terms of interest rates, the CBSL said the excessively high levels of interest rates observed at present are expected to moderate in the period ahead as money market liquidity conditions improve and the risk premium attached to debt restructuring concerns assuage. It also said that further flexibility in the determination of the exchange rate will be restored in line with the medium to long-term equilibrium levels that help foster competitiveness.
UN Assistant Secretary General Kanivigaraja welcomes efforts taken by Sri Lanka to resolve the economic crisis. The UN Assistant Secretary General, who is in Sri Lanka on a two-day visit, met President Ranil Wickremesinghe for talks today. Kanivigaraja, who is also the Assistant Administrator of the United Nations Development Fund, praised political reforms initiated by the President, including efforts to resolve the ethnic issue.
The Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations and Assistant Administrator of the United Nations Development Fund, Kanivigaraja, who arrived in Sri Lanka on a two-day visit, met President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat today. During discussions, the UN Assistant Secretary General appreciated the efforts taken by President Wickremesinghe and the government to resolve the economic crisis in the country. She also reiterated the UN's financial and technical support for Sri Lanka during this recovery period. The discussions focused on the economic reforms, with the delegation recognizing that these delicate decisions would have to be taken in order to ensure long-term recovery and growth in the country. The President also briefed the visiting delegation on the political reforms initiated in the country, including the establishment of the Constitutional Council in Parliament and ongoing discussions with other political parties towards a resolution to the ethnic issue in Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and the UN Assistant Secretary General discussed the implementation of necessary programs in Sri Lanka to achieve sustainable development goals, a green economy, social harmony and social protection. During their meeting, Premier Gunawardena briefed Vignaraja on the programs that are in place for long-term infrastructure development and the progress of the reconciliation process. In the meantime, the United Nations Assistant Secretary General Kanivigaraja met State Minister of Finance Shehan Semesinghe, where discussions focused on IMF approval, debt treatment and all other reforms the government introduced. Minister Semesinghe tweeted that the discussions further focused on the potential areas for future support on economic development and financing from the UNDP. In response, the UN Assistant Secretary General expressed the UNDP's willingness to provide technical support in capacity building in government authorities. In the meantime, during a meeting with Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara, the UN Assistant Secretary General discussed renewable energy integration plans, challenges and financial and technical assistance. The Energy Minister and the UN Assistant Secretary General further discussed e-mobility, ongoing restructuring plans of the Ceylon Electricity Board and the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation.
Now, Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Gopal Bagle held discussions this afternoon with President Ranil Wickremesinghe regarding Sri Lanka's dairy production and potential in collaboration with India. The discussion focused on raising national milk production and providing the necessary technical support to the production of fresh milk in Sri Lanka, together with the National Dairy Development Board of India and Amul Milk Company. The aim is to enable Sri Lanka to become self-sufficient in milk and milk products in the long term, while also providing short and medium-term goals to double local milk production. A committee comprising representatives of the public and private sectors was appointed by President Wickremesinghe to work with the NDDB multidisciplinary team to prepare a short, medium and long-term plan for the development of dairy sector in the country. Members of this committee and representatives of the National Dairy Development Board of India were also present at the meeting. Now, a report received by President Ranil Wickremesinghe has revealed that the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has paid its employees with a 2-month bonus payment amounting to 1.2 billion rupees, citing profits made by the company given the recent price increases. However, the report said that the company had cited profits by failing to include the debt the company owes. Meanwhile, the Sri Lankan Airlines had incurred 580 million rupees as bonus payments.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe requested the chairpersons of the Sri Lankan Airlines and the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation to submit a report regarding how bonus payments were made to the employees of 2 of the largest debt-ridden state-owned enterprises. According to a report received by the President, the CPC has stated that they made bonus payments for their employees due to profits made by the company following price increases. It also highlighted that the report had depicted profits made by the company excluding the debt owed by the company. The CPC had paid 2 months of salary as bonuses for 4,200 employees at the institution. It is reported that while some top officials were paid 500,000 rupees each as bonuses, some other officials were paid 1 million rupees as well. As such, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has paid a total of 1.2 billion rupees as bonus payments to their employees. In the meantime, 100,000 rupees had been paid as bonus payment to 5,800 employees at the Sri Lankan Airlines. With this being the case, a total of 580 million rupees has been paid as bonus payments to the employees of Sri Lankan Airlines.
The Litrogas Lanka Limited has decided to reduce the prices of domestic LP gas from tomorrow. According to the chairman of Litrogas, Mudita Piris, the price of a 12.5 kilogram domestic LP gas cylinder is expected to be slashed by an amount ranging between 200 rupees and 300 rupees. He said that the exact figures will be announced tomorrow. These prices are determined by the company based on the pricing formula made with the assistance of the Consumer Affairs Authority and the Ministry of Finance. Stay with us to find out more news, as we will bring you the latest update on the controversial murder of prominent businessman Dinesh Shafter.
It's hard to keep up with the new when you're listening to the same old Slim Bread Week, a week for professionals.
Welcome back. Now, the national flag will fly at half-mast tomorrow at all state institutions as a mark of respect to late Pope Benedict XVI, the former head of the Catholic Church. The funeral, presided over by Pope Francis, is scheduled to take place tomorrow at St. Peter's Square in the Vatican City.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe directed the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration to instruct all state institutions to fly the national flag at half-mast tomorrow to show respect to the late Pope Benedict XVI. Meanwhile, President Wickremesinghe visited the embassy of the Holy See in Colombo this morning to express his condolences over the demise of former head of the Catholic Church. Former Pope Benedict XVI passed away on the 31st of December at the age of 95. He stepped down from the position of Pope in 2013 due to his ailing health. More than 135,000 people have already flocked to the Vatican a day before the funeral of the former Pope Benedict XVI, an unprecedented ceremony in the modern history of the Catholic Church, given he will be buried by the incumbent Pope Francis. Former Pope Benedict led the Catholic Church for less than 8 years until in 2013, he became the first Pope to resign since Gregory XII in 1415.
Now, statements were recorded from slain Dinesh Shafter's spouse Tarni Shafter, Chief Executive Officer Krish Pereira, over the controversial murder that took place on the 15th of December. The hearing of further evidence will take place again on the 10th of January. Police investigations are underway pertaining to this incident. However, they are yet to identify suspects.
The magistrate's inquest into the recent murder of prominent businessman Dinesh Shafter was conducted today at the office of the Colombo Additional Magistrate Rajendra Jayasuriya. While the inquest was initially called up in open court, Jayasuriya noted that evidence was recorded in her private office upon requests made by relatives of late Shafter. Evidence was recorded for nearly 2 hours from the spouse of Dinesh Shafter, Tani Shafter, and the Chief Executive Officer Krish Pereira, who located Shafter at the Burella Cemetery. No journalists, however, were allowed for the hearing of evidence. Following the conclusion of recording evidence for the day, the hearing of further evidence was adjourned until January 10th. The 52-year-old director of the Janashakti PLC was found tied in the driving seat of his car on the 15th of December last year, and he later died while receiving treatment at the ICU of the National Hospital in Colombo. Police investigations are underway pertaining to the controversial murder. However, they are yet to identify suspects.
Now, the Sri Lankan rupee depreciated against the US dollar by 44.8% last year, according to a central bank report. Now, according to the central bank's latest weekly economic indicator, the Sri Lankan rupee depreciated by 41.4% against the euro and by 38.6% against the Indian rupee last year. The rupee further depreciated against the sterling pound by 38.1% and the Japanese yen by 36.4% during 2022 as well. Meanwhile, the central bank added that the gross official reserves were provisionally estimated at $1,806 million at the end of November 2022. This also includes proceeds from the Bank of China swap, which is equivalent to around $1.4 billion. The swap arrangement is subject to conditionalities on usability. The Sri Lankan shares ended in the negative territory today after marking gains for 4 straight sessions following the revision of the customs and excise duties. The main all-share price index closed 0.56% lower at 8,463.93. The Colombo stocks ended 2022 losing 30.5% from 2021's 80% gain. The more liquid index S&P SL20 closed 0.74% or 19.72 points lower at 2,632.96. The market witnessed a turnover of 2.2 billion rupees, slightly lower than 2022's daily average turnover of 2.9 billion rupees. The market saw net foreign inflow meanwhile of 19 million rupees. The total net foreign inflow of 2022 was 3.1 billion rupees. Lanka IOC in the meantime dragged the index down to close at 3.6% at 203.3 rupees. Expo Lanka fell by 25% to close at 176 rupees and Melster Corp closed 1.5% lower at 47 rupees a share. Now let's take a look at how the rupee fared against other major currencies in the world. Now, US regulators have expressively urged banks to be mindful about the risks of depending on misleading disclosures by crypto firms. Issuing a joint statement, the regulators emphasized on the importance of not having the uncertainty in the crypto assets sector incorporating into the banking system.
US regulators warn that banks should be more careful about the risks of fraud, legal uncertainty, and misleading disclosures by crypto firms. In their first joint statement on crypto, the Federal Reserve, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corp, and the Office of the Comptroller to the Currency said they had concerns with the safety and soundness of bank business models that are highly concentrated on crypto. The regulators added that banks issuing or holding crypto tokens stored on public, decentralized networks are highly likely to be inconsistent with safe and sound banking practices. This dealt a several blow to the ongoing efforts of several lenders to provide crypto services to customers. The statement comes after months of hesitancy from regulators to issue uniform guidance or rules on cryptocurrency, even as banks have expressed a desire for more clarity. The Office of the Comptroller for Currency has previously said that banks must obtain regulatory approval before engaging in certain crypto-related activities, such as holding tokens on behalf of clients. The Federal Reserve, meanwhile, has instructed banks to notify their supervisors before moving forward with any efforts involving crypto. According to the joint statement, regulators said they are supervising banks that may be exposed to crypto-related risks and are carefully reviewing bank proposals to engage in crypto activities. They emphasized that it is important that risks related to the crypto asset sector that cannot be mitigated or controlled do not migrate to the banking system. The procurement comes as digital asset companies reckon with high-profile collapses, most notably that of crypto exchange FTX. The Fed, FDIC and OCC emphasized numerous risks associated with crypto, including the volatility of digital asset markets, contagion risk within the sector and weak risk management. The regulators said they would issue further statements on banks' crypto-related activities as warranted and would continue to work with other agencies on crypto issues.
Now, oil prices ended on a lower note today as Brent crude futures fell by 2.3% and the WTI by 2.2%. Saudi Arabia is also expected to cut the prices for its flagship Arab Light crude grade of Asia 2 in February.
Oil edged lower after slumping in the previous session, weighed down by concerns about weak demand due to state of the global economy and China's rising COVID cases. Brent futures for March delivery fell by 43 cents to $81.67 a barrel. US crude dropped 39 cents to $76.54 per barrel. Both benchmarks plunged more than 4% yesterday, with Brent suffering its biggest one-day loss in more than 3 months. Analysts said that the warning signs of global recession, China's lackluster recovery with surging COVID-19 cases, renewed strength in the US dollar, and dampened risk sentiment are all catalysts keeping oil prices in check overnight. The Chinese government also increased export quotas for refined oil products in the first batch for 2023, signaling expectations of poor domestic demand. Top oil exporter Saudi Arabia may further cut the prices for its flagship Arab Light crude grade to Asia in February, after they were set at 10-month low for this month as concerns of oversupply continue to cloud the market. If the Fed intensifies its rate hikes, that could slow the economy and hamper fuel consumption. The dollar weakened today after posting big gains in the previous session, lending oil some support.
And that's all the news we have for this evening. Join us again tomorrow for the very latest news at the very same time. Tune into our social media platforms to stay updated. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.